passed, I'm going with one.
All right, I will call the November meeting of Paulding County Airport Authority to order. First item of business will be the approval of the minutes from the September 20th, 2017 meeting. You received a copy of those. Did anybody note any errors or omissions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain since I was there.
Motion carries. Next item is approval of minutes from the November 10th, 2017 called meeting bid opening. You received a copy of those. Anybody note any errors or omissions? If not, is there a motion to approve? Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of financial statements. You have a copy of those, you received those, and you have a copy in your packet. Is there a motion on the approval of the financial statements?
Well, I do have a question for you, Jimmy. What is it, Terry, on item number 2007, due to Silver Comet Terminal Partners, $360,000? What is that?
That's the two bond payments that they paid before they defaulted. Remember that we have the bond agreement,
Yep.
and according to that bond agreement, if we ever receive grant funding to repay the widening of the taxiway, which of course was never finished, then we would repay their payments on the bond. So we show that as a payable, even though at this point, the way things stand today, we don't anticipate that being paid off anytime soon.
Okay. And then the under long-term liabilities to the IBA, the $1,155,000, that is for the hangar.
Well, it's for buying out of the lease. Remember, what we did is we bought out all of their property leases on airport property, which included the fuel farm, the terminal building, and the hangar.
Okay.
So the buildings technically were already ours because they were built on our property, and at the end of the lease, they would have reverted back to us when the lease ended. But what we did is we bought out the remaining term of those leases, which removed the IBA from any management position in the airport.
Okay. And then in the, under the 2014 bond, that was the original bond that was taken out, right?
That was the $3.6 million bond that was to pay the taxiway widening and lengthening project that was never finished.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
All right, is there a motion on the approval of the financial statement?
Make a motion, we approve.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Airport Director's report.
The most significant thing that I'll report on this month was I did travel to Savannah during the week that would have been our regular meeting in October, which is why we canceled the October meeting. It's a very productive meeting. Most of Georgia DOT, Aviation Department, and many of the FAA folks that we deal with on a regular basis were there. So it gives you a good opportunity to meet and discuss with other airport directors the fun problems that they're having and share ideas and so forth. But I really wish I had gotten to go with Mr. Small to his convention that he went with. You want to tell us anything about NBAA?
Sure. NBAA is a trade organization, lobby group for business and general aviation. It has an annual meeting every year. It alternates between the East Coast and the West Coast. This brings vendors, users, everybody together to show their wares. Has many industry speakers on various topics ranging from airport management to the new aircraft and engineering and safety advancements. Well attended this year, even though it was right after the incident in Las Vegas, but is a great opportunity to be able to reach out and touch people and also get answers to questions that you have regarding operations of airport, operations of aircraft, the whole gamut. So I highly recommend attending it. This next year in 2018, it'll be Orlando, a little cheaper, probably a great opportunity for you to attend.
Yep, yep. That's all.
So, yeah. All right, next item is closed session to discuss real estate and litigation. Is there a motion to enter closed session for those purposes?
Make a motion to enter into a closed session to discuss real estate and litigation.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Move and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll return. All right, we have adjourned executive session, and we did take action on one item on real estate, to authorize the purchase of parcel to be known as 2017-01, and no other actions were taken. Next item on the agenda is the purchase of the Kubota front loader and the trade-in of the New Holland tractor. Terry, you want to talk about that?
Okay, so several years ago, the county donated to the airport authority the New Holland 5610 that we've used for a number of years out there, and it's been a very good piece of equipment for us, but it's a mid-90s model, so it's 20 years old or so, two-wheel drive only, and doesn't have a front loader. Ellis actually found a 2010 Kubota 7040 that has the front loader, brand new tires, 1,600 hours, excellent shape, and we can trade in our tractor and for $13,500 get about a 15-year newer machine that is more in line with what we actually need for the today's maintenance that we have out there, and so we've basically got a proposal from the company that has the tractor, and I'd like to encourage us to go make this purchase. Ellis, you want to add anything to that?
Well, it's a four-wheel drive, and, you know, our tractor needed about $10,000 to $11,000 worth of work on it. Well, it needed about $2,000 worth of work. Needed about $8,500 front end loader on it. It's a two-wheel drive, so you just really can't do a whole lot with a two-wheel drive tractor or a four-wheel drive tractor. You can utilize it, go up and down steep terrain and move rocks or small trees, whatever you need to do. So we were going to spend $11,000 on our old tractor, and then it still wasn't going to be beneficial. So this four-wheel drive Kubota will be much more suited for what we're doing out there, and it's 70 horsepower tractor versus a 56 horsepower tractor. So I think it's a good choice, a wise choice.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase on the trade?
I'll make a motion we approve.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the repair of the corporate hangar fire pump. Terry?
Okay, so as a part of the 2-year maintenance and 1-year maintenance and 5-year maintenance required on the fire suppression system of the corporate hangar, we had to fire off the big fire pump for the first time since it was installed, and there was some gravel in the feed line coming to it that got to the impeller and chewed up the impeller and caused about $20,000 worth of damage. That is an insurance claim. It's already been reported. They've already approved the claim. So all I need to do now is just authorize the repair. But since it's over my spending authority, I wanted to make sure I had y'all's concurrence that we're okay to engage with ASA to do this repair of the fire pump.
And the difference is the deductible.
The difference is the deductible, right?
All right, you've heard the request, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is on the motion to approve Michael Nixon as professional forester for Bear Creek Forestry. Is there a motion on that request?
I make a motion to approve Mr. Michael Nixon, professional forestry of Bear Creek Forestry for a period of 18 months to provide forestry services on a commission of 10% per unit sales and 9% for lump sum sales pending legal review. Additionally, In addition to that, all the pines will be harvested on the airport property. On the south side, all trees will be harvested up to 100 foot south of the wildlife fence line. On the east, west, and north, all of those trees will be harvested. Any further timber harvesting will be brought back to the Paulding County Airport Authority for approval at a later date.
All right, you have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Citizens wishing to speak. Susan Wilkins.
Getting up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
At this point, there's not much need for me to talk about how misled this board was by the motion you approved at your last meeting regarding timbering at the airport, or the airport director's true intentions. Through an open records request, I've seen the emails he sent you, and I know as well as you know his plan to clear cut the remaining 300 plus wooded acres, or what you just voted on, in the name of pine beetle management, is simply a quick way to make money that he wants to use to pay the airport's legal fees. Nor do I need to talk about the recent Hail Mary that pins the clear cutting on safety regulations, or that airports can and do plant trees and shrubs all the time, often for the sake of noise control, despite this board being told the FAA won't allow it. And please excuse my voice. I'm a little upset about the vote you just approved. But I would like to talk about a couple other things. One being the value of trees in noise reduction due to their ability to absorb and diffuse sound waves. Removing 300 acres of trees would expose the airport neighbors to even greater amounts of noise than they're already subjected to, which would be inexcusable since the clear cutting is not mandatory. These residents already feel discounted and ignored by airport management, since their noise complaints are typically dismissed, only to be ridiculed publicly on Facebook by commercial airport proponents, causing the complaints to stop for self-preservation reasons. Clear cutting the airport would validate the residents' feelings and be nothing but a slap in the face to the very people who own and financially support Paulding County's airport, which leads me to my second point. This is a public airport, not a private one, nor a personal one belonging to Mr. Tibbetts. The taxpayers expect the director and airport authority to manage the airport in our best interest, not yours and not his. Yet we continue to witness this irresponsible and reckless behavior all the time because sight of who you're serving has been lost. It needs to stop, and it's only going to stop if this board steps up, pays attention, and gets involved by doing the job it's supposed to do. And when you do, you won't be hoodwinked like you were last month. Nor will you be drugged into lawsuit after lawsuit for decisions that you don't make. As a board, you have so much power, yet you act as though you work for Mr. Tibbetts. This county might actually begin to heal, and we might actually see the type of growth and prosperity we all claim to want. If you would just realize that Paulding's well-being rests in the palms of your hands. It really, really does. you have the potential to end this nightmare we've all been living the past 4 years. So I beg you to save us by just being present and caring enough to govern this airport the way you should and the way your county deserves. Please take charge of the charge you've been given. And I don't know if you've heard Chris Byram's speech yesterday at the BOC meeting or not. As a neighbor, airport neighbor, she was speaking, requesting that you not cut the trees down for what it's going to do regarding noise that the residents already are at their wits' end over. She mentioned 2 stunt planes that continue to practice often 3 times a week, and they fly over the residents' homes. You want to talk about safety? What's that about? Why is that allowed? And you gave them permission.
No, ma'am, I did not.
You spoke about it at a meeting regarding letting us know that they were coming out. I'll find the video and see exactly what you said. But something needs to be done about it, and I wish this board would address it. Thank you.
Well, I will answer that statement. And first of all, I know that Ms. Byram left. She left a copy of her remarks. They will be copied and sent to all the members of the Airport Authority. The question about the stunt pilot, that is a permission granted by the FAA. We have appealed it. We have had Terry and Kerry both working on it. They have an approval from them up to 4,000 feet. They can actually shut the runway down at times when they request it. It is beyond our control. So I would suggest that you contact your congressional offices and United States Senate offices to get in touch with the FAA to stop that.
So the FAA approves them
That's-
flying over people's homes?
Yes,
They
ma'am.
did. so.
That is like nuts.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
we
nuts.
don't like it.
We
And you know what? The
agree.
community needs to know this.
All right.
They need to
Before
know
we
it.
get
Thank
off track
you.
too much, it has been addressed. We are addressing concerns, but it is not our call. Todd Pownell, Pine Beetles.
Good morning, thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My comments will be a little bit different this morning than what they originally were going to be, just simply because we had a long executive session yesterday. How are you? Good. And in our executive session, we got through a few things. Mr. Tibbetts and I, along with Ellis Aston, met with the forester on Monday evening for several hours, and Mr. Tibbetts and I were actually there for probably almost 3 hours. And so I feel like we got a little bit of work done. Mr. Tibbetts sent me an email. I'm sure y'all have talked about it maybe in your executive session, and I think we're closer to what we feel like should be done. So I'm not here, I don't want anybody to think I'm here to throw stones, but at the same time, when you look at the proposal that was put in the paper, and you look at that proposal and then you listen to the forester, what he said the other night, about 2,500 feet from the center line of the runway, and you listen to what his perception of what he was bidding on, and then you look at some of the emails and some of the comments, and even a comment after y'all voted last time and Mr. Ellis was not here. The comment at the end of the motion, Mr. Austin made the comment that we're doing this in the name of Pine Beetles. Now, that may have been what got it started, but the fact of the matter is, the intention of somebody, whether y'all knew it or not, the original intention was to clear cut the property. Every square inch of the property, to clear cut it. Now, my talk this morning is different than what it originally was going to be, because I've been very upset about it. So this is the deal. We want to talk about lawsuits and attorneys and writing letters and so on. If the truth is put out there to begin with and we can sit down and talk about it, that's good. But if you don't get the truth, then you have to find your way through the weeds and emails and everything else to find out what the true intention is. Then it puts us into letters and different things going from attorneys, and that's what puts us in a bad spot. We're supposed to all be trying to work together to make things better, and that hasn't been the case. So we are here today, and we've had some bumps in the road because I feel like some people intended to do something. Maybe some of y'all didn't know. But the bottom line is, it's in black and white, and I don't know why people can't believe the intention was to clear cut the airport. Period, cut and dry, 2,500 feet from the center line of the runway. Did you all happen to look at the map, Ellis, in the executive session maybe of it at all?
Yeah, I've got my own.
You cannot discuss.
If you look at the map and you draw the line out, Mr. Austin, 2,500 feet from the center line of the airport, not only does it clear cut the entire airport, Mr. Carmichael, you've got sections where there's other properties that own land that come into the airport property as much as almost 1,000 feet. It won't be clear cut. So you can't do it in the name of safety. So we can't go in the name of safety and get our fence cleared and get our airport cleared and the property cleared and everything else because of safety, because that's what we want to do when it started out as pine beetles. So all I'm saying is this. Mr. Tibbet sent me an email and asked about the tractor because the Board of Commissioners given him the tractor. What do you think? You think it'd be okay to trade the tractor? Y'all got to do what you got to do with the tractor in order to do what you need to do, but at the end of the day, you still have a tractor. At the end of the day, that airport reverts back to the Board of Commissioners, and I don't want the trees to be gone. And so I know we're going to meet in a little while, so I'm looking for that. But this letter that I sent you out is July 3rd, 2014, talks about where y'all meet the safety standards of the airport and where you're lacking that needs to be taken care of. And it's not 2,500 feet clear cut from the center line of the runway. And we need to make sure that we take care of our citizens, our environment, and everything else. When the property was clear cut with the IBA, all kind of water and all kind of runoff down to Clear Creek. Don't let it happen to the citizens out there. I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you. John Betzel, Aviation Safety at the Airport.
Yeah, well, I don't have any prepared remarks for entry in the record, except to refer you to Title 14 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Chapter 1, Subchapter E, Part 77, entitled Safe, Efficient Use and Preservation of the Navigable Airspace. Those are the rules, laws, that this airport and all airports have to adhere to when it comes to obstruction clearance around an airport. Certain areas have to be clear cut, and certain areas have no obstructions for certain slopes up from the airport, imaginary slopes, and that includes hills and things. And trees being what they are, they tend to grow and stick up into that navigable airspace. So that requires your constant diligence in monitoring and managing the obstructions that might stick up into that airspace. And I refer you to that Part 77 for the details. In fact, your forester will probably have to refer to him from time to time too, make sure he's in compliance. But there is a certain area around on the airport that has to be cleared and the obstructions removed for safe operation of flight. I say that as an over 40-year pilot and flight instructor, but also as a resident of this county for the last 25 years. So I urge you to pay very close attention to the requirements. For one thing, if we don't do it, the FAA will be on us. But for the most important reason is aircraft aviation safety. We don't want anybody running into things, especially, for instance, on the instrument landing system approach that we have here. That's a precision approach that allows us to fly, pilots to fly down to within 200 feet of the runway threshold, and without seeing the runway. That's where the decision height is. That's where we have to decide whether to continue the landing or go around missed approach. So if the slightest deviation from the center line of the runway can cause problems with obstructions, and that's what Part 77 was designed to prevent. If you adhere to those instructions, those regulations, you'll probably be safe. So I urge you to consider that in your deliberations on these matters. Thank you.
All right. Are there any comments or questions from the authority? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.